Affinity? Experience? Mastery? What do all these wacky words no other game has ever used before mean? Okay, so first off, affinity is experience. So those words are used pretty interchangeably. After doing a mission, you'll see your weapons and warframes all got some experience. Experience is earned by killing enemies, completing objectives, hacking consoles, collecting an affinity orb, which is these weird yellow diamond things in the ground, scanning things, or even just using your warframe ability. Also, when you see this icon next to your health and your allies' health bars, it means you guys are sharing affinity with each other. You have to be close enough for these to show up though, and don't worry, it doesn't divide affinity up between you guys, but rather duplicates it for each player. In general, affinity is spread 25% to your warframe, and 75% for all your weapons. Necramechs and Archwings only gain the affinity if they've been deployed. For killing enemies, however, half the affinity goes to your warframe, and the other half goes to the weapon you just did a kill with. If you killed the enemy with your warframe, 100% of the XP goes to the warframe. I should specify that killing an enemy only means whoever did the finishing blow to it. For pets, it's a little different. All affinity gained by the Tenno, whether it was a weapon or warframe kill, or objectives completed, it's duplicated and split 50-50 between the pet and its weapon. If the pet has no weapon, then it gets 100% of the duplicate XP. If your pet manages to kill an enemy, the affinity only goes towards the pet and not towards the Tenno. Keep in mind, any weapon or warframe or companion or whatever is at max rank, it can no longer gain XP, and all XP awarded towards that item will just be lost instead of it being given to something else. Also, at the end of every completed mission, you get a whole lot of bonus affinity, which is 125% of the total XP received on that item. If you abandon or fail the mission, however, you still keep the normal XP and gain no bonuses. And leveling up weapons and warframes are how you increase your mastery level, but that's a whole separate video I'm gonna get into later where I'll go over all the mastery rank tests, so be sure to subscribe for that one. Now there are a couple of ways you can boost affinity. First off, stealth kills can give you 100% to 500% bonus XP per stealth kill. Obviously, higher level enemies will have more XP to dish out. Opening a couple of Void Fissure relics in a row gives everyone boosters, just for that mission though. And sometimes you can just hang out at a relay and hope a Mastery Rank 30 player comes by and blesses everyone in the relay with a 25% affinity booster. Also, sometimes there are these special loot crates which spawn in missions, and these can dish out 100% affinity boosters. Login rewards and sortie rewards can also give you affinity boosters, and Barrow T Tier sells them sometimes too. But buying it from the market and using plat is completely not worth it, to be honest. So yeah, good luck finding a booster. Now let's go over the best ways to farm all this good affinity juice. The meta seems to be this specific map on Sedna called Hydron, which is just a typical Grineer defense mission, and if you and a full squad do 20 waves of this, you should have most of your gear leveled. But if you don't have Hydron unlocked yet, you can ask in the recruitment chat to be taxied there, and someone might be nice enough to help. People still actively run Hydron, so you should have no problem finding a squad for it. Another good way to farm XP is the Sanctuary Onslaught. This game mode is basically designed for XP farming. Enemies will just endlessly spawn out of nowhere and are begging to be killed. But the downside of doing this is the enemies drop no resources. The only rewards you get from this game mode is the affinity, and all the mission rewards like relics and parts for Korra. And it's pretty hard to get consistent enough kills to keep the timer up, so this game mode may not be right for you. I recommend bringing at least one weapon or warframe which is maxed at rank 30 and can deal some serious damage, and equipping the rest of your arsenal with unleveled gear for an efficient farm. Also, the Elite Sanctuary Onslaught mode can give out way more XP than the normal mode, but it's even harder to get consistent kills and keep the timer up in that mode, So unless you have a Siren build like the one I showed in one of my earlier videos, I recommend doing the normal mode. Your other option for a good XP farm is something so rare it's only spoken of in myths. Something so rare I might not even have the footage for it. If you are able to do the sorties, and you have done them before, you might have noticed Eximus Stronghold Survival. If you get a daily sortie with those exact conditions, farm it, especially if it's level 80 to 100. I couldn't get one for this, so this is just mobile defense, but enough enemies spawn for this one anyway. Probably best to go solo on this one, just because you want to stay longer than the 10 minutes the mission wants you to stay. Killing Eximus enemies dishes out a lot of XP, and being in a condition where they are just endlessly spawning is just chef's kiss. It's honestly less tedious than Hydron in my opinion, and you even get resource drops, unlike Sanctuary Onslaught. So yeah, bring your favorite qualified Warframe to this one and beat the enemy meat away. If focus farming affinity tends to numb your brain though, it's probably best to run Void Relics instead of the other farms I mentioned. There's various game modes, and you even get prime parts from it. But to make sure it's an effective affinity farm, you'd want to stay as long as possible in an endless mission, just so you can get the spiciest boosters from opening relics. Also, Archwings don't really have too many ways that you can farm affinity for them. If you're looking for a good Archwing run, just repeat the highest level Archwing mobile defense mission the start chart has until your gear's max ranked. Yeah, sorry about that one. Oh, and K-Drives only gain XP by performing tricks with them. No point to leveling them up though. Necramechs, I think the best affinity farm is to do a Railjack survival, especially one with relics where you can get boosters. There's not many options to go for mechs. For leveling up your Railjack Plexus, you should have way more XP than you'll ever need if you clear the Railjack star chart. But if you still need more, then doing the R9 Cloud mission is what you want to go for. Not great for Archwing level though, because you're just gonna get endlessly destroyed. Alright, let's go over a couple of tips and tricks. First off, only equip non-maxed weapons. Like I said before, all XP awarded towards already maxed weapons is just lost. However, if you unequip maxed weapons or other gear, experience is only split between the weapons you do have equipped, and therefore not wasted. Be sure to check up on the XP you've collected. You know, to switch between your less used weapons if one of them seems to be hogging all the glory. On PC, the button to check for this is Tab. On PS4, it's whatever the fuck this thing is. I don't know, I miss the DualShock 2. On Xbox and Nintendo, the buttons for these are
Your mom gay!
make sure you're in a public session. Just because during public sessions, enemies tend to spawn more often, and there's a whole affinity share that you're doing with your allies anyway, it seems to be really beneficial to gaining affinity when you're in public. Also, use a Phos4. This increases the affinity share range that you and your allies can have, and this can be really useful if you just want extra affinity and your friends refuse to stay close to you. You can get the blueprint from Necramechs in Cetus. Necramechs, Kuva weapons, Tenet weapons, and the Paracesis may max out at rank 30, but you actually need 5 Forma for them to be maxed to their final rank of 40. There will probably be some other weapons like this added on later too, so don't be surprised. Lastly, don't hesitate to revive. Reviving does take a considerable amount of XP, and it may seem counterintuitive, but you're always going to get more XP from finishing the mission and getting bonus affinity compared to quitting and losing it all. I mean, unless your buddies are just 1 second away from ending the mission without you, that way you'll still get the bonus XP. And that's about it. Farming XP doesn't seem to be something most people go for until way later in the game when they need to farm focus and gain mastery ranks. So it's probably not too important for new players. I don't know, I'll do a whole video about the mastery ranks later. And I'm still dumping out videos on Fortuna whenever I feel like it. So be sure to subscribe and watch other guides I've made, which 10,000 people on this other side have also never made. I promise.